Just about the only thing I didn't mention in my really long review of the first volume of RWBY was the music. It was spectacular. It's got the greatest score I've ever heard. And yes, that includes you. Jeff Williams is to music as Bernie Burns is to writing. Screwed over by miles. So let's just get right into it. Whoever voiced this guy sounds pretty natural on a mic.
That's not your money.
Unlike whoever voiced her.
But it could be yours for 5 minutes of silence.
But I suppose I should take what I get, considering that these people didn't recast Yang after her abysmal performance last year.
Aren't you excited?
What is it about being in a recording booth that makes people forget what humans sound like? So this volume starts out with the bad guys robbing a dust shop. Hold on, did I just turn over 2 pages at once? What's going on here? Well, at least they're not still wasting Jen Taylor's time. But I'm hard-pressed to call this an improvement because this scene wasn't very well shot. And I say shot, even though this is animation and they could have put the camera anywhere, but the blocking is still just meh. I mean, there wasn't even a single frame where her hand got anywhere near this guy's pocket. How are we supposed to believe she took his wallet? Wait, why is this shop reopening right now? It's been an entire semester plus a break.
It's been a good 2 weeks. Our second semester is going to be great, but classes start back up tomorrow.
Did it really take 20 weeks for this guy to get his window repaired?
It's gonna cost way more than $1,700.
What? For a plate of glass? No.
Oh, yeah? I bet it does.
I mean, the robbery got foiled, so nothing really happened to his shop. Or did he close the shop for a completely different reason? Or is no one involved in this production paying any attention?
Tall buildings, diverse culture.
And nice, dopey people who are easy to pickpocket.
Well, 2 out of 3 is good, I guess. This bookshop has awful lighting. Oh no, wait, that's actually pretty smart, because nobody could read the books inside the shop, so they would have to buy them in order to take them outside the shop, where there's better lighting. So overall, this scene is pretty well done. There are actually expectations set up and subverted. This person was set up as a thief, so you think she's going into this shop to rob this guy.
How may I help you?
Just browsing.
But as the scene goes on, you kind of catch on that they're gonna try to kill him.
Would you like a copy?
No. Just wondering.
Oh.
Your brothers in the White Fang wouldn't be happy to hear that.
Wait, did he just turn the lights off outside the window?
And neither are we.
Oh no, there's just controlled tinting in the glass. Bayonetta shoes. So that was a pretty good scene. It also addressed one of my biggest problems with the first volume of the show, is that no one ever fucking died. So I'm happy to see that the first thing that happens in the second volume is that somebody actually dies. It's always nice to start off strong. And, well, it's not nice to do pretty much everything else that goes on in this episode. So, where are our heroines after the season? Oh good, there they are. Where's my spoon and lighter? Oh yeah, that's good. So here's a question. Why does the show go to shit when it gets back to its titular characters? I mean, the first line RWBY says is wrong.
Sisters! Friends! Weiss.
What I mean is that at the end of Volume 1, RWBY was friends with Weiss, and Blake was the one that they had no reason to trust. So, is anyone paying attention? Are they trying to retcon that because they realized that having their main character befriend a racist maybe wasn't the best idea in the world? Or are they just making all this stuff up as they go along?
7 minutes ago, I had a dream.
You did all that in an hour and a half? You put that whole thing together in 87 minutes? Or are they just throwing out a bunch of references that don't make sense because the lulz?
I am not a crook.
So we've only been back with these characters for like 45 seconds and I already want to blow my brains out. It took me 7 episodes to get to that point in the first volume. It's not even that references are inherently lame. And these aren't even references to things that are funny or relevant. Julius Caesar was a tragedy. The Gettysburg Address wasn't a very comedic moment in US history. Neither was the Civil Rights Movement or Watergate. Also, do I have to bring up what incredibly poor taste it is to reference the Civil Rights Movement in a show with the central theme of the prevalence of racism and slavery and how no one sees fit to do anything about it? So why are these things being referenced? Is it for the sake of getting cheap laughs out of people who aren't paying attention? This scene also kind of implies that RWBY takes place on Earth because of Shakespeare and Martin Luther King Jr. and Abraham Lincoln and Richard Nixon. They all at least existed long enough to give their memorable sound bites, so everything in history went down pretty much the same despite the power of dust and the threat of monsters.
I always kick my semesters off with the yank.
Oh, or maybe they just completely gave up. In my opinion, writing a character as their actor is just lazy. I mean, the main thing Barbara is known for, besides that one Vine where she was topless, and that one short where she was topless, and that one short where she kept her clothes on, is telling really bad puns on the podcast.
You're like so quick-witted in the worst way.
How did that happen?
Something went wrong.
Thank you, Barbara.
Now let's traverse a little further down the rabbit hole of awfulness to reveal something you might not have noticed even if you were paying attention. RWBY is written in such a way where that if anything really stupid happens, it's immediately followed up by something that's more overtly stupid to distract you from the thing that just happened. Let's look at some precedent, shall we? In the first episode you might have noticed the disappearing cookies, but then immediately got distracted by the podcast reference.
That's my uncle.
Weiss being caught like a deer in the headlights is overshadowed by Sean hanging from the tree. And this is covered up by this,
Did she just run all the way here with a Death Stalker on her tail?
which gets covered up by this, which gets covered up by this, which gets covered up by this.
Now we could die together.
And now they're just chaining the bad writing in hopes that we don't remember any of it. So hopefully the next line will be slightly more tolerable.
Our second semester is going to be great.
Oh, it wasn't. So they just skipped an entire semester of classes? And this isn't the first time they've skipped a large chunk of time either.
Cardin has been picking on you since the first week of school.
Look, the rule is show, don't tell. Not skip and then tell us what you didn't show us. The pacing is just fucked up. I thought this show was supposed to be about 4 idiots going to high school while some other idiots failed to rob curio shops. But they skip all the high school and they also skipped all the stealing. What's going on? What's this show about? I mean, the description of the show says, the story focuses on a group of 4 girls in their first year at a legendary academy where they learn to fight monsters. So then why did they skip an entire semester? I'm reminded of the Star Wars prequels.
The biggest missed opportunity in the whole trilogy is that we never got to see any of Anakin's training.
But classes start back up tomorrow.
It's always just assumed that he was trained at some point we don't see.
And that's never a good sign. This line is also wrong.
I think I might sit this one out.
Sit out or not, I think however we spend this last day, we should do it as a team.
In Volume 1, Blake was the one who was in on all of the girls' club shenanigans, and Weiss was the odd one out. So did they read their lines wrong? Is this another retcon? Is anyone involved in this production paying any attention? Or are they all just making this up as they go? So Sun is still the best character in the show. But much like in Volume 1, I could spend more time talking about how great he is and the amount of screen time he gets. But long story short, knowing that he's not the cool guy in his circle of friends makes him even cooler, because it's a way to make him not perfect without giving him a serious flaw.
And the best part is, she's a faunus.
Except that he's a bit of a blabbermouth.
But that's a secret, okay?
Got it.
But then again, that raises a question of why the hell is Blake trying to keep her cat-ness a secret? And don't say that she's hiding from the White Fang because running away is punishable by death. She wore the bow while she was still with the White Fang, so she looks exactly the way they remember her. Plus, she openly admitted that she was a former member of the White Fang.
Brothers of the White Fang!
2 members of the White Fang. Did anyone else notice that Blake put her bow back on in between this and this?
I'm queen of the castle! I'm queen of the castle!
Oh, Nora just said the thing that she said from Volume 1.
I'm queen of the castle! I'm queen of the castle!
Nora!
Do I have to explain why that's stupid? Or do you get it? Nora had sort of a fleet of fancy about her.
Aw, it's broken.
She saw the rook and she sang the song, and it was all out of nowhere, but still appropriate to the situation. She used to seem like she existed in the moment without any real care for context or consequence, and it was good. This is not. So now what's going on? Why is there a whole uncooked swordfish in the dining room area? I mean, I would understand if it was in the kitchen, but why is it out here? Even in a scene that's just supposed to be stupid fun, you still need to put thought into the scene construction. So wait, wasn't Pyrrha trying to keep her powers a secret?
We could just keep it our little secret.
I thought she'd won like 4 national tournaments based solely on the fact that no one knew she had magnet powers.
She's won the Mistral Regional Tournaments 4 years in a row.
She just happens to fight a lot of dudes with metallic weapons.
Why is she just giving it away to anyone and everyone who could be looking through the windows at this point? I mean, did they retcon that? Or are they all just making it up as they go along?
What, like a puma?
Yeah, there you go.
It's the RWBY writing process in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen. Thinking they're funny because they reference something that a real writer wrote over a decade ago. Am I gonna have to explain what a joke is? Oh well, I've got nothing better to do with my time. So, in order for something to be a joke, it needs two things. A setup and a punchline. Setup, punchline. Setup, punchline. That's all you need. And now let's study that scene from Red vs. Blue.
I like to call it the warthog. Why warthog? I mean, it doesn't really look like a pig.
Say that again.
I think it looks more like a puma.
See, I think it looks more like a puma was straight line.
What in Sam hell is a puma?
And the punchline was that Sarge didn't know what a puma was.
You're making that up.
At the end of the scene, Tucker saying,
What, like a puma? Yeah, man, there you go.
further extended the joke that Sarge is the highest ranking officer in Blood Gulch, and yet he is the least knowledgeable about something that people should know. It's especially funny because it's like a meta-commentary on real life, where oftentimes the least qualified people are the ones in charge, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. In this scene from RWBY, both characters know exactly what a puma is, so there's no joke. There's no setup, so that's not a punchline. It's just a reference. Well, that was important. I hope I never have to explain anything that basic again. So in this scene, Cinder starts talking directly to the audience.
Don't think.
So apparently Torchwick stole a bunch of dust.
Sorry if I've been a little busy stealing every speck of dust in the kingdom.
Even though he was set up to be a big worthless failure. Was this a retcon? Or are they just making this up as they go? Is anyone involved at any level of this production paying any attention whatsoever? Like, if they're just gonna waste 2 hours of our time and then in the first episode of the next season immediately go back on everything that was mentioned in the previous season, why did they even bother getting out of bed in the morning? If they wanted to fuck with the audience so much, why didn't they just link this video to a loop of the Rickroll? So what exactly are all the hunters and huntresses doing if they can't stop Torchwick?
Look around, kid. I've got this town running scared.
I mean, his plans were foiled by a little girl. Twice. Why does everyone want to be a huntsman or a huntress if they're incapable of stopping this guy? And this is an unfathomably important question to answer, because the only motivation any of the main characters have is to become huntspeople.
If you guys wouldn't mind filling me in on your Grandmaster plan.
So Torchwick doesn't know anything about what's going on. I kind of figured that.
You'll know what you need when you need to know.
And there goes Cinder talking directly to the audience again. I guess I should say there go Miles and Carrie excusing themselves for not setting up a plot in over 2 hours of runtime. What do we know about RWBY? Well, RWBY wants to be a huntress.
I want to be a huntress.
Because, and Torchwick is taking stuff, or he already has the stuff, and he doesn't know what he's doing with the stuff. And, you know, if he can steal all of the most valuable stuff in the world, what's stopping him from just doing literally anything? I mean, the primary law enforcement has no power to stop him, or they would have done so already.
Yeah, I'm thinking we don't get paid enough.
I mean, it's bad. Everyone can tell it's bad, right? Right?